And Vivek, thank you so much for joining us on the show. The budget is next week, so we'll know what comes out of it, and hoping a lot of your asks are met. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you.
Well, on that note, specialty coffee brand Blue Tokai has raised $30 million in a Series B funding round to scale the business and expand its presence globally as it completes 10 years in India. It also plans to build new FMCG products to tap the growing opportunity in the coffee industry. Ritu Singh reports. Take a look.
Coffee. It's the world's most widely consumed beverage, the second most traded commodity after oil, and what wakes up a large part of the world every morning. And Indians are a big part of this ever-growing craze. India is the 10th fastest growing coffee market in the world, worth over $1 billion. And yet, the tea market in India is at least 10 times the size of coffee. It is this preference that niche coffee brand Blue Tokai is hoping to change, and drastically. After all, estimates by the company show that while the average Indian could be consuming 70 grams of coffee a year, an average person in Scandinavia would be gulping down 7 kilos.
India has reached this tipping point in terms of income. As countries become richer, there's more and more demand for coffee from the domestic market. India is not really a market of tea lovers, it's a market of milk lovers. So in the South, there's been coffee culture through filter coffee for a long time. And it's really just that in the South, people are preferring to have their milk with coffee, and in the North, people are preferring to have their milk with tea.
This conversion means massive investment. And Blue Tokai says, challenge accepted. It has recently raised $30 million in Series B funding from E91 partners and existing investors like Grand Aniket Fund and 8i Ventures. The money will be used to scale up its business and expand its global presence in specialty coffee markets. It is also working on introducing new FMCG products. Blue Tokai currently has 4 roasteries in Gurugram, Mumbai, Bengaluru and Tokyo, and over 60 cafes across India, which it hopes will number 250 before 2027 draws to an end.
This is really all growth capital for us. Right now we're currently EBITDA break even, so all of this capital is going to be going into growing the business. A big focus for us will be on opening up more cafes throughout the country. We're going to open up another 200 over the next 4 years. Because these cafes are really top of the funnel customer acquisition for us. So we have a strong D2C presence where we'll be opening up more products and bringing new products to the market and expanding our presence both on online and offline channels. And we also have a big focus on bringing more business to the B2B segment.
But this space is heating up. With a population as large and diverse as India, boasting of equally diverse tastes, the artisanal coffee space is chock-a-block with players, not just relatively new competitors like KC Roasters, Sleepy Owl, Slave, Dope Coffee and Rage, but even the more well-established brands like Cafe Coffee Day and Starbucks.
One thing that really sets us apart is we're a full-stack coffee company. We work throughout the entire coffee value chain, starting with our sourcing. So we do all of the sourcing ourselves, and in some cases we work very closely with the farms that we source the coffee from. We provide technical expertise to them to help them improve the quality of coffee that they're growing. We see the entrance of all of these new companies as really indicative of growing consumer demand, of the vibrancy of a growing coffee culture, and it's not something that we see as a negative, but rather we see that as a positive for the overall industry.
Blue Tokai has not forgotten it also started that way. Founded in 2013 by Matt Chitharanjan, Namrata Asthana and Shivam Shahi, Blue Tokai entered a market already dominated by household names like Cafe Coffee Day and Barista, and coffee brands like Nescafe and Brew. For Matt and Namrata, it was a gamble because they used their savings to invest in a roaster and began to take online orders for freshly roasted coffee. Initially, most of the consumers comprised of NRIs and expats, but they soon began receiving orders from across the country. They opened their first cafe in New Delhi, and there's been no looking back since.
We've been growing our revenue, basically doubling every year except for 1 year due to COVID. It's true that coffee prices have gone up considerably in the last 2 years. Now they've started to come back down a little bit, but they're still at an elevated level compared to they were historically. However, that doesn't really have a large impact on us because we've been in the specialty segment for forever. And we've been paying a premium to growers since inception. India is really about to take off in terms of coffee consumption. So we want to be the go-to brand for anybody who's looking for a good cup of coffee, no matter wherever or however people like to drink it.
India is one of the largest coffee growing nations in the world, but most of what we produce is actually exported, especially the premium Arabica beans. But did you know that 80% of all the coffee that is grown in India is actually grown in this state, the state of Karnataka? Yet, Indians know very little about the farms here. But the younger generation, now they are waking up and smelling the coffee, and they're brewing what is called a coffee revolution of sorts in the country, one cup at a time. The revolution, most visible through India's growing cafe culture, is being helped along by a rising middle class, growing brand awareness, availability of international brands, conducive sitting spaces and access to Wi-Fi. But the fight with the more popular tea, or chai as we call it, is a tough one. And given the rise of chai's cafes across the country, it is not one that's going to fade away quietly into the night anytime soon. In Bengaluru, Ritu Singh.
Well, after